Alright, so hopefully the fan's not too loud out here in my shop. I actually, this is the first time. The babies are now full 2 weeks old, and I thought about putting them out here in my stock tank enclosure that I built a while back that I was going to use to let some of the animals sun. And the babies, you know, I've got 10 of them, and they're in a 2x4 enclosure inside. So I thought, you know what, during the day, maybe set them up, let them run around in here. So this is all 10 of the baby flavies, orange banded Euromastix. First time, literally just put them in and picked the phone up. So this is their first time off of paper towels onto rocks and sand. So they're kind of checking things out at the moment. Don't quite know what to expect. Actually, I would like to leave them in here. You know, even though it's still pretty warm. You know, I usually open this shop up during the day, and you know, it's no hotter in here than it is outside here in southeast Texas. So you know, I put a basking light over under the top. Of course, it's got a hinged top that, you know, I'll close it. 99.9% sure they can't scale the sides, and even if they did, this top is built so that it lays flush all the way around, so there's not really much of an escape point if they could scale the top. So yeah, I'm thinking I may stick them in here. Let's set up some wedges and some ledges and wedges and try them out. I like to give them as much space as possible. Right now, they're, like I said, they're set up inside in a 4x2, and for 10 of them, I mean, it's plenty of room, but you know, they're going to grow, and they will probably, you know, start really being a little cramped out here with the right amount of hides and such. I think I can set them up to where they're not as cramped. I see you over there. So yeah, they're too cool. I have identified one of these, I believe that is, where is he at? As a potential keeper. He's got a little red dot on the base of his tail. Oh, there he comes right there. This little guy right there, he's actually already started to, you know, want to be in charge. I've noticed him, you know, bobbing and weaving a little bit. What are you doing? I like his coloring. Hey, buddy. Hey, buddy. I know, where you at, huh? So this is weird. This is new. Never been in here before. He's very light colored. You know, some of these are very dark. The variance in them from him being, you know, very light to some of the more dark ones. And even in basking, you know, lightening up and darkening up in and out of their basking lights, there's a big variance. So, but anyway, you know, the stock tank's just been sitting out here. I haven't used it a whole lot. I used to put the adults out, you know, roll it out under the carport into the sun halfway to where they would get some sun, and, you know, for a few hours, and they would do fine. But, you know, it's nothing to put their light out here, and a couple of, you know, basking spots, and, you know, I've got several bricks, and give them, you know, this is 6 foot around, so whatever that, let's see, I have to do quick math and my brain's not working correctly right now. So give them a lot more room than the 4x2, and like I said, it doesn't get, you know, super hot in here with the doors open. It's got a top. I don't have to worry about anything, getting in here to them or them getting out. So we may give that a shot. We'll see. They're not quite big enough to go in a full-time outdoor enclosure, I don't think, or leave this outside. But yeah, we'll see how it plays out. They can get more exercise and run around more, and by the time I put some more hides in here, or some blocks, and wedge them up to where they have their little crevices to get in, and have a little place to bask. Probably back there in the back, I'll set them up a light on either side of the back of that, so that they can bask a little bit, and let these guys kind of hang out in the shop and grow out a little bit better in this big enclosure. Dude right there. Hey buddy, I see you. So yeah, anyway, like I said, just wanted to do a quick little video of them getting to run around in something other than that 4x2 that they've been in since hatching out a few weeks ago. I think the first one hatched out Sunday will be 3 weeks, and the last one hatched out, I think it was Wednesday. So they came within 3 days of each other, so they're all over 2 weeks, going on 3 weeks. So yeah, cool. Anyway, I'm gonna escape this thing out with some blocks for them and give them some places to hide, and get their little water dish and a food bowl in here, and let them enjoy this big tank for a while. Super cool. Hey buddy, that's my guy right there. I've actually got him out a few times and held him, played with him a little bit, and he's super chill. Super chill. I see you down there. Alright, 10-4. Let's get this thing scoped out. I may, once I'm done, do another little piece of the video and put them together when it's done. So yeah, pretty big. I'll show you how big it is. Pretty big stock tank. Let's see, it is, I guess it's like 6 foot around, 5.5 foot around, whatever they call it. Picked it up off the marketplace for like, I think it was, he was asking 100, I offered 80. That's what it is new, so. There we go. Lizards and hot rods. All right, I'll add when I'm done to the end of this. Peace. All right, so we got the bulk of it in. There's still a couple other pieces that I've got in the oven right now that I wanted to clean a little bit and disinfect them. I don't think there's any problem with them, but I try to keep these things clean. These are the stones that came out of their cage, so I don't know if you'll be able to see them. Put them in here, they ran around, they almost instantly found their hiding spot. So let's see, I don't know if we can see them in there. They're already, but these rocks being contoured the way they are, I've got the ones at the bottom that allow them to wedge in and feel comfortable and safe. I have to flip the phone over. Let me do that. Let me flip the phone over and see if I can get a shot of them. Okay. Try it again. See if we can get a shot of these guys wedged into their little spot. Probably see some of them in there. Yeah. So, majority of them are packed in their little spot. A couple others are still running around. Well, one's still running around. The rest of them, they're all wedged in. And like I said, I've got a couple of the other bricks that I'm cleaning that'll go in different places, and a couple of them are pieces that are kind of concaved and have hiding spots. And this will, of course, if I got to mount their lights, I'll put them, right there where they'll do their job as they're supposed to. Hey, there's one coming out. He's coming out to see what was happening. Come on out, buddy. And like I said, the cool thing about this is exactly how I used to keep the baby beardeds and my mallees back, 20 plus, going back almost 30 years ago, when I got, my first year of mastics. I think it was in 95 from Bert. And, I had those for about 10 years, produced several clutches, before I kind of took a step away from reptiles in the, mid 2000s, 2004-ish, I believe. And I liked using the stock tanks. I was able to, give them plenty of room to run around. And I would do baby beardeds. I'll probably produce, easily 1,000 plus beardeds back then. Like I said, 5, 6, maybe 7 clutches of mallees over the years, and they would all go in stock tanks. Leopard geckos, I didn't use this big of a tank, but kept them very similar to this, and kept them, outside in a shop. That way inside's fine. Most of my animals are inside, and you got the AC running and the lights, constant battle, until I get like permanent outdoor enclosures built. That's the way it'll be. But man, he's the last one. He doesn't want to go in. And in case anybody's asking me or wondering, the only animals that have been here are their parents. I would put them out to sun a little bit, so no other animals been in this tank. So it should be good to go. And like I said, the cool thing, I can roll this. It's on casters. I can roll it out under the carport where the I can put it halfway in the sun during the day, different times of the day, and they'll get natural sunlight through the top pretty easily. Just have to monitor it, make sure that it's not getting full sun where they can't get away from it. I also have fans, and I also have AC units in the shop. So even though I think we're on the downside of the 100-degree weather, I think the next 2 weeks we're not going to get out of the 80s. And like I said, it doesn't get any hotter in here with this being insulated and the doors open than it does outside. So, yep. Come on out, be brave. As soon as I put them in, they all found their little cubby holes, so that might take them a day or two to get used to it. Those blocks are still warm, so they're good and tucked in and warm. Don't really worry about anything getting in this shop at night and messing with them. My guard cat's over there who keeps everything run out of the yard, and of course the top keeps her out in case she ever did try to get in. It's cool because she goes out there and hangs out with the redfoots, gets in the cage with them and chills, and she doesn't paw at them, bother them. And of course she's a cat, so I wouldn't let her do this with these baby lizards. But so anyway, we're going to give this a shot. Like I said, this is how I used to do it years ago, and this is kind of what I had in mind once they got past that 2-week point. Usually the first 2 weeks I'd always keep them in an aquarium or a tank on paper towels, let them kind of figure out that everything that they put in their mouth they're not supposed to eat. Never lost an animal to impaction. And like I said, I've raised baby beards, baby mallees. I think these things are advanced enough to know the difference between sand and greens, or even, a lentil. Once they're old enough, they're just, I don't think they're dumb. I think they know the difference. So, as always, we'll monitor them close. We'll stay out here and come out every morning and open up the shop. If it's going to be too hot, I'll just turn the ACs on. I just don't run them when I'm not out here working on the car or something. So, yeah, I think this is going to work out great. Maybe tomorrow I can roll them out, let them catch a few natural rays for the first time in their life. And these guys should be ready to go in a couple months. I think we're going to do an expo in Sulphur, Lake Charles, Louisiana, that they'll be available for. And another cool thing I like doing about this, it's a lot easier, really, to maintain humidity this way, I believe, because I can actually come out and pour some water in this sand and rock underneath, and as it dries and that humidity rises, it kind of simulates what's natural to them in their deep burrows. Because I've always believed that these things, they get a lot more moisture than what people actually think from digging deep burrows in the wild. So I always try to add as much moisture as I can without it being surface wet. And again, everything that I do, I am no way trying to tell other people how to do what they do with their reptiles. This is just me. It's what I've always done. It may not be what other people like to do or how they do it, or it may not even be perfect, but it's always worked well for me. And so again, nothing I do, nothing I build, none of my cages are meant to be guides for anyone else, unless I explicitly, like on some of the cages I built, say, hey, this is the best way to do this. But anyway, some of these are they're anywhere from right at 3 weeks old Sunday. Between now and next Wednesday, they'll all be 3 weeks old. The plan was to try to get them out in something bigger as soon as possible, and we'll see how they do. If there's a problem, if something, happens kind of goofy, or I feel like they need to go back in, we'll just move them back inside. So the lid, I got to put a chain on it so that way it doesn't fall on me while I'm, got my head in here, and y'all hear about a guy in Texas chopping his head off playing with lizards. So yeah. All right, I think that'll do it. Over and out. All right, it's the next morning, so wanted to kind of sneak up on these guys. They a little bit nervous last night when I first put them in, so they all just kind of went into their hides and their little crevices and bedded down for the night. Came out this morning, opened the shop up, and they were out exploring. So threw some grub in for them, and added some of the, or at least one of the other roofing tiles for basking and such, and just want to sneak up on them and see how many's out and what they're doing. Probably gonna all dip. Hey guys. I'm just checking on you. Hard to see through the screen a little bit, but a few of them out running around. Half of them, at least. Let's see, there may be some right here. No, So yeah, they're definitely, let's see, we got two little heads sticking out back there. Let's see, so two little heads there, two back there, two are out here, one's there. The rest of them are probably in the crevice, chilling. I see you. Grabbing a bite. So yes, first night in, I'd say it's a success. And still got a couple more little things to throw in there for cover and climbing and such. Just haven't finished cleaning them yet. We'll add those at a later date or later today. So yeah, absolutely tickled to get them in this bigger enclosure. Let them do their thing and grow. I bet that don't work. Come on out. It's actually one of the cooler mornings we've had. Definitely not cold. It's just, it's not already 95 degrees at 10 a.m. So yeah, they're so far so good. So we'll update them as they grow, as they get bigger, and see what they turn into when they're grown. I said I'm not keeping any, but I think we all say that. All my animals are young, their parents are young, so I don't necessarily need holdbacks right away. But it's always hard when you got one you really like, and I have already identified one I really like. So, let's see if I can spot him. What are you doing, guys? Where's my little buddy at? I don't see him. He must be under his rock. So basically that whole footprint of these two side-by-side longer rocks are on top of three other pieces of that slate that are all very like concave and contoured. And you could see it in a little bit in that other video, but they're able to basically wedge themselves in and out of there very, very easily through the front and the back. So perfect for these little guys. They got a place they can run and wedge themselves in if they're feeling threatened, or if they want to hide, or when you know, if any of them gets a little bossy and wants to push the others around, whatever it takes, they can do it. And then on this side, the old roofing tile, it's I've used it on their parents before. They can go under the edge of it here. They can also go in the middle. Let's see, I do want to check some temps while we're here, so let's open this up. This is not light, so I have to, and I still haven't hooked my chain on the back, so I've got it set up where it won't fall unless it's touched or the wind blows. I think we're good for a minute. Let's just check some temps. I've learned these little halogen bulbs for heat, very, very low wattage, puts off a lot of heat. So right underneath the bulb here, it's about 90, a little further out, 90. Let's see what the temp of just the sand's about 90. So I don't know if that bulb's heating that up too much. Might have to put a little stronger one. But Then we get over here, I've got a little bit bigger wattage bulb. I think that's only a 25 watt bulb, so it's very, very little. This is a 75 watt. And dead under the center, it's 138. Out a little bit. Of course it drops. So, you know, they can really regulate here. Yeah, 90, and then the further out we get, of course the temperature drops. And then the ambient air is going to be, you know, 80 to 90. So certainly not as hot as what they'd be dealing with if they were wild. So about a 10 degree variant in the back to the front. So yeah, and then of course there's their, you know, Arcadia UVB. When I close the top, it radiates over their basking spots. And we're going to start rolling them out to the sun. Right out there in the driveway where you can see the shade line. I can actually push this thing out to where just enough sun hits about the middle of it and they can get some natural sunlight, which is what I really like. Hey guys, what are you looking at? Hi, are y'all checking me out? It's okay, I'm not going to eat you yet. I'm not going to eat you yet. That's what I used to tell the kids. My daughter and her friends, when I'd get home to them, I'd tell them, I'm going to eat you. Cook you in a pot of stew. I don't know if the lizards really care. The kids used to get a kick out of it. There's another one's little head. So yeah, let them get comfortable. As soon as I close this lid and go away, I think the rest of them will come on out. They're all just kind of looking up at me like, what is he doing? And one little explorer over here. So, okie dokie. We'll wrap this up. Peace.